Hello and welcome to this week's Gig Harbor Market Update. It is Friday and I am super casual Friday today. As you can see, it's like 80 degrees outside, so I'm dressing appropriate to the weather. Anyway, we're going to be talking about Gig Harbor's traffic, which is everyone's favorite subject to gripe about. So we're going to see if they're going to promise us any improvements and will they really help. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Christian. I'm a real estate agent here in Windermere, and I make these weekly videos talking about all things real estate, nationally, locally, and anything that's happening that people need to know about in Gig Harbor, such as new traffic improvements, because that does affect property prices. Anyway, without much further ado, let's get into our story about improvements on Woolachet Drive. All right, we're gonna start with a little bit of location finding here for those unfamiliar with Gig Harbor. This is Woolachet Drive. It goes right over the highway here. It is one of our few overpasses in Gig Harbor, so it means extra backup if one of these few bottlenecks is all, well, bottled up, I guess. So if you're from out of state or out of town, we have a couple of exits in Gig Harbor and our overpasses really too. I think a total of 3. If we don't count Purdy. But this is one of our primary overpasses, and you can see Woolachet goes over and then goes to downtown, and on the other side it goes to, oh well, the rest of Gig Harbor really. It's one of the best ways to get from downtown to get to shopping on the other side of the highway. So there can be some backup in the mornings here. And we're gonna be going over a News Tribune article here that's stating there are traffic improvements coming to SR 16, alleviating some of the dangerous conditions that drivers face. So let's see what those are. So this is the article that I'm referring to. It says SR 16 drivers, traffic relief is coming. This busy area is getting new turn lanes. Now at first glance, and if you're like me, you're like, oh my God, they're gonna be improving our interchange. You know, like the on-ramps are gonna be improved, because currently, if you're getting onto those loops, I guess, the on-ramp loops, it's like Mad Max. Like you go around that corner at 10 miles per hour and then you just gun it and you're hoping you don't get into an accident. And we'll be going some of those statistics over here in a second about how many accidents do happen on that just short section of the highway. But here it says that Gig Harbor expects the $1.7 million that we're getting in funding to add 2 right turn lanes to SR 16 in locations that have been identified as part of, so we're getting 1.7 out of $13.4 billion. So it's pennies. And we can read some of the stuff here. So the city has been asking for this for a while. I think this is the 5th year that a report was released. But let's go into what is actually, let's see. Well, let's zoom in here in a second. Oh boy. So this is what's going to be happening. So there's currently drivers here that take the right-hand turn. They get on the shoulder to take a right down Woolachet Drive. And like, if you're one of those like me, yes, I do it too. And you know, then somebody's out of state or out of town rather, if they don't know that they can do that and they just kind of take up both lanes, and it's frustrating. But, or it's a big truck that wants to take a right. So they're gonna be adding a new right turn lane, which basically means marking some pavement. Okay, that's great. They're gonna be upgrading the signal, so hopefully that'll relieve some of the congestion, because it does get backed up in the morning. You know, this can get queued up all the way back to 16. So hopefully that'll alleviate all the backup there. And the whole bridge really gets filled up with cars. So if you're taking a left to get to downtown, you're gonna be waiting a long time to get into that road, and you're hoping for the signal to clear that traffic. And the next right-hand turn they're doing is for people that want to get on the highway to Tacoma. So they're going to be adding a right turn lane, because if somebody wants to go downtown, they basically block all those cars that want to get on the highway. So they're adding that right-hand turn lane and also a signal upgrade. So that's what we're going to be getting. So after 5 years of our plan, this is what's slated for Gig Harbor traffic improvement. So not really the type of improvement that I wanted to see, because they are not alleviating the problem that this on-ramp is causing here. It even cites in the article, traffic backs up along SR 16 corridor, resulting in collisions that can stretch to the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. This leads to emergency service delays and other major safety issues. During the past 5 years, the interchange has an average of 61 collisions per year. Within the half mile of the interchange, with nearly 10% resulting in injuries. And what is 61 collisions? That's basically 1 a week, or 5 every month. So that's how many collisions, and that's how much backup we get. So we get you know, a decent backup every week. So it does you know, get pretty squirrely out there, especially since SR16 is the only way to get up north or south. These traffic improvements for Wallachia Drive are actually part of a study that Washington State Department of Transportation did, and they studied this orange highlighted area that you can see on the screen. And they're looking, okay, how can we improve traffic over the next essentially 20 years about this section of highway that can get pretty backed up, especially around Gorst and Gig Harbor. So what is it specifically for Gig Harbor? We have here, I have it in my email, actually, I'll pull it up here. So in the short term, and this is 5 years, and this was back in 2018, so we're now at the 5-year mark, right? So here it says, so Washington State Department of Transportation suggests that Wallachia Drive includes those new turn lanes that we're talking about and the new signal timing to ease congestion. We are here. So, and then it says midterm, so this is 10 years from the study, so in the next 5 years, they want to extend on-ramp length, and that's been recommended. And then in 20 years time, so 15 years from today, they want to remove the loop ramps and replace them with a full diamond interchange. That is our long-term solution here in 15 years from today. So it seems very redundant to do this. Why don't they just go ahead and do it? I mean, it's only going to cost more money in the future. As we know, with all construction projects, they do actually include inflation in there. So that's going to get more expensive. And why don't they just go ahead and do it all at once? And before everything gets more and more expensive. So I don't know, this is what's happened, what's going to happen here in the next 15 years. We'll finally get a state-of-the-art diamond interchange on Wallachia Drive. Leave it up to government to kick the can down the road as far as they can and not solve the actual problems. The problem of the SR16 traffic isn't the on-ramps, or the right-hand turn lanes rather, because you're just essentially allowing more people onto the highway, and those loops is what's causing the problem. So even if there isn't a collision to create a huge backup, just people tapping their brakes to let people in who are merging is going to cause a lot of continuous backup until 15 years from now, because they're not actually solving the solution. They're solving the problem, not solving the solution. So we're still going to have a lot of people trying to merge, even more people now, in fact, so they're actually going to make the traffic on SR16 worse, I suspect, at least going north, not south. So that's the government doing the government things and kicking the can down as far as the road as they can. If they're not doing their job right, because that's what the government does. And that's why we vote for the best and the brightest into the government. Yeah. So I don't expect any traffic solutions here until 15 years from now, when they actually put in a real state-of-the-art diamond interchange. Yeah, and then 5 collisions on a month average. And if you have been driving on 16 recently, there is back when it actually first started, I was like, what is this? It looks like they're adding another an off-ramp in for people who need to go to Kitsap North. So, in my mind, this is what I was thinking. Let me pull up Google Maps here. Here on my screen, you can see what it looked like when they were first started, first moved the lanes. But when they put all this dirt up, I'm like, wow, they're putting an off-ramp. Yeah, look at this car, isn't it crazy? But I thought they were putting an off-ramp for, I'll show you where. So this is, I thought they were gonna alleviate traffic down to Purdy, because if you're unfamiliar with the area, this is the Purdy Bridge, and it backs up all the way to Highway 16. Their solution was to essentially let people drive on the shoulder. But it does merge here, so it creates another bottleneck, and then there's a light, or the signal, that really causes traffic to back up. So I thought, okay, well, up here, there is a bridge, and I thought they're gonna put an off-ramp rather, and they're gonna allow people to get here, turn, and then drive down to get on 302. And here is a right-hand turn lane, so there's actually no stopping for that traffic. They can just get on, as long as there's no oncoming traffic, they can just get on the bridge, boom. Traffic solved. Well, it turns out I was wrong. And how wrong was I? Well, they're actually not improving people traffic. They're improving fish traffic. This is what they're doing. This is improvements to Purdy Creek fish habitat, and they're not really just daylighting it. They're just increasing the size of the culvert here. So all this traffic, all this money is being put into all these highway changes that are actually not going to improve traffic. So it just seems odd that we have so much money for habitat, but no money to actually improve the people who are paying for the improvement of the habitat. So I'm not gonna get into it. Anyway, so if you're interested about, are they gonna improve Purdy Bridge traffic? And there are proposals to put a new bridge in. And but those are very far away. I mean, they've been talking about putting a new bridge in forever, and they just haven't been able to get anything passed. So it's not even planned, it's not designed, nothing. And why is that? Well, the Purdy Bridge is designated as historic structure, so we can't just go in and rip it out and put a new one in its place. That's not allowed. In fact, it's so historic that they can't even improve it to make it earthquake safe or resilient. So they're expecting it to fall down in the next major earthquake that we're gonna have, and only then can we get a new bridge. So literally, by the definition of insurance companies, it's gonna take an act of God and seismic event, right? But literally, according to the insurances, it's gonna take an act of God to get us a new bridge to go to Purdy. And while on the flip side, it's a good thing to have that traffic, because I think that keeps property prices down and keep an insula, because there is such a people don't want to be in traffic for a half an hour just to get through that little part of traffic. But here's a little hint: if it ever backs up so bad, you just take the Burnham exit, drive past the roundabout, go past Canterwood, and go up to the transfer station, then take a left, go down past Peninsula High School, and then take a left at the light, and then you can get on that right-hand turn lane that I was talking about that doesn't have to stop to go to 302. So that's a little thing I learned when there's really bad traffic. Other than that, you can take, I think, the Burley exit and then just cut across, and then you can avoid the bridge altogether in case there's something on the bridge that backs up. So anyway, that's the market news you can use, or I guess not really, it doesn't really help solve anything. I guess kind of a depressing real estate update that all our money is really not improving anything. So maybe you can take a right-hand turn faster, and a little bit of backup does get resolved on the watch it. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and you learned a little something, and I'll see you next week. And enjoy the weather. Yeah, it's like going to Hawaii without having to pay for it. So, yeah, I'm rambling. Anyway, I'm gonna turn off the camera now because I gotta go. All right, later.